If you want someone to do something they'd rather not do, the answer is usually to exert pressure to force compliance. In most situations, the more pressure you exert, the more likely the individual will comply. But what about when there are moral, ethical, or practical reasons to not exert such pressure? Advertising, propaganda, and politics all have techniques for producing compliance in the absence of pressure. In the 1960s, two researchers, Jonathan Friedman and Scott Fraser from Stanford University, wrote a paper called Compliance Without Pressure: The Foot in the Door Technique. What they found is that once conformity is elicited at all, it becomes more likely to occur in the future. They had researchers go door to door in Palo Alto, California, and ask the occupant to comply with either a small request or a similar but more onerous request. Those that agreed to the small request received a follow-up visit in which the larger request was made. Among those that received only the large request, less than 25% agreed to do it. But among those that received the small request first and a follow-up visit to make the large request, over 50% agreed to the large request. So why did this happen? The researchers theorized that to say no to a request, the subject needs a reason. They called this the matter of principle idea. For example, the subject can say they don't believe in giving to charities, or they don't believe in tipping, or they don't believe in working for political parties. But once the subject has performed the small task, this excuse is no longer valid for not agreeing to perform a similar task. To test their matter of principle theory, the researchers did a second experiment, and this is when things got really interesting. This time, there were 4 different first requests: a small sign for safe driving or keeping California beautiful, and a petition for those same 2 issues. So they varied both the issue and the task. The second request did not vary. It was a request to install on their front lawn a very large sign that said "Drive carefully." As expected, compliance increased when both the issue and the task matched between the small and large requests. The more surprising result the researchers found was that even when both the issue and the task varied between the small request and the large, compliance shot up from 19% to 47.4%. So this ruled out the matter of principle theory. The researchers' explanation was that the first request the subject complied with caused the subject to undergo a change in identity. They said, he may become, in his own eyes, the kind of person who does this sort of thing, who agrees to requests made by strangers, who takes action on things he believes in, who cooperates with good causes. The Heath brothers put it this way in Switch: when the subjects were approached with the option to put a billboard on their lawns, they subconsciously asked themselves James March's 3 identity questions. Who am I? What kind of situation is this? And what would somebody like me do in this situation? If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss an episode.